name is Keely and I'm the owner and creator here at Soy and Shea, and today I'm going to take you along for a behind the scenes look as I create some embeds for the weekend soap. Let's go! Right, so we're going to create two different sorts of embeds for the top of this soap, and the first one, all I'm using is some black soap dough. Now when I made this soap dough, I actually used a new activated charcoal that I got in, and I'm really not too happy with it. I used about the same amount that I normally would with my other activated charcoal, and what I've noticed is that it is actually making my hands go black, but while it's still in this really soft, uncured state. What I did have a bit of a play around with is I left some of this out to dry out and then had a bit of a play with the soap as well, and then it doesn't seem to stain my hands. But while I'm actually playing with it in this soft sort of format, the black is kind of staining. It's not really staining the hands, it just makes them look black, but it does wash off really easily. And as I said, once the soap dries out, it no longer actually transfers any of that soapy colour onto your skin. I think it's just at the very top layer of the soap that you can really see, so don't be too alarmed at that. Right, so what I'm doing first of all is just manipulating and warming this soap up so I can actually start to create the shapes I want. And the first thing I'm going to do is roll it out into a little bit of a sausage form, and I'm going to make myself 3 different sized round shapes. So I'm going to have a small, medium and a large. So I'm just going to roll that round in the palm of my hand just to get a little ball. It doesn't have to be perfect, just that sort of general shape. Move on to that bigger one. And then this one. I might just make that one a little bit bigger and make this one my medium piece. Alright, so just make sure they are all different. No, those two are exactly the same size. That didn't quite work out for me. Let's take a bit off and reshape. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with those 3 sizes there. That one's probably a bit bigger than I wanted. And what I'm going to do now that I've got that in its shape, I'll start with the biggest one first. I'm going to put it between my thumb and forefinger in one hand. I'm going to gently push in this way, whilst with my other hand, with my thumb and forefinger, I'm going to make sure that it doesn't push up. So it's kind of going straight, but I'm getting that sort of oval sort of shape there. So it's getting thinner, but staying in that sort of more oval shape that I want. It doesn't have to be too thin, and it also doesn't have to be perfectly shaped either for what we are making. So that is one piece. I'll just grab the medium size, and I'm going to do that same thing again. So between the thumb and the forefinger, and as I push in this way, I'm going to push down slightly with my other hand just to get that sort of flat ovalish sort of shape. Alright, now that I've got that shape there all done, I'm going to take that other one. They are just slightly different sizes there, and I'm just going to gently squeeze them together so that they stick. And then I've got those 2 on top, and this bottom one is just slightly bigger than the top. I'm going to grab my small one here, and again I'm going to squeeze in from the sides, push down from the top, and get that nice ovally sort of look. Grab my blocks here again, and then I'm going to put this smaller one on top. They don't have to be all lined up evenly. In fact, we might actually just twist it a little bit just to give it a different bit of a look. And I am going to leave my sort of shape like that, and it will all make sense once we get to the actual soap that we're going to be making. So I'm going to make a few of these. So again, I'm going to go back to that sort of sausage shape. I'm going to make myself 3 different sized balls and then squash them back out. have a lot of embeds to make, especially like this, I like to work in sort of a progressive line. So what I've done here is I've broken off all of my pieces of soap dough that I need, and now I'm going to go through and roll each of them into a ball. And there's a couple of reasons why I like to work in progressive lines. For me, it does make it that little bit quicker to make things like this rather than focusing on one embed at a time. And the other thing I find is when you work in a progressive line, like all of these large balls will end up being relatively the same size, whereas if I do one at a time, I end up getting bigger and bigger as I go along. So for example, this was my very first one I did, but this is now the sort of size that they are ending up, and this is bigger than that one, but all of these sitting on here are about that size because I'm working in this sort of progressive line here. So what I'm doing first of all is, now that I've broken all these off to be the size I want, I'm going through and actually just rolling them, whoops, into the little sort of oval round ball sort of shape, and I'm rolling them rather than just going straight into squishing them to get a nice smooth edge on my soap dough. So we just got this last one to do. And now that I've got them all nicely rolled out, it is time for me to start shaping them. And what I have been doing, apart from just squishing them down and out, is I've also been adding just a little bit of movement, you would probably say. So kind of this one here, you can see it goes around in that sort of curve shape. So it just gives a little bit of interest that not each and every single one are the same. I'll move on to this medium piece. And what I'm going to do, rather than just, putting all my pieces down, now's the time when I start actually working to start stacking them all together as well. So I'm going to finish getting all of these ready. I need 17 of them in total, and then we will come back and we will do the next embed to go on the top of this soap. Alright, so all of our little soapy stones are now all done, and it's time to move on to the next thing. And I have some white soap dough here, and I've already warmed it all up and rolled it out a little bit for me. What I'm going to do is lay down some grease-proof paper because I want to roll this out quite thin, and I know that it will stick to my cutting board if I don't put this in between. So I'm just going to layer my soap dough between my greaseproof paper, and I am just going to start rolling this out nice and flat. My ruler here, and I am actually just going to pretty much use my ruler as the knife, I think. So I'm just going to go straight down, take that little bit off. I'm going to go straight down there. We want it fairly even, and take that piece off, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get maybe 2 of my embeds out of this one. So I'll cut that there. I'll just square the ends off, and then you can get to the next bit. Right, so then the next thing I'm going to do is just very gently start to roll this up. I don't want it too tight a roll, but I want it kind of a bit like that. And then what I'm going to do, this little bucket that has gone all over my workbench, just going to take any one of these tools that have a bit of a pointy end, and all I'm now going to do is start putting lots of little dots. In fact, I don't like that one, so let's change to, oh, this one's got lots of little ones on here. So I'm just going to start pounding that randomly over the top, and what I'm trying to get is a look of a towel. So usually the terry toweling material has got all those sort of little bits of material, I'd say, sticking up to give it that really soft fluffy look. So I just want to add that little bit of texture on here because towels are never completely smooth, and I'm going to cover as much of it as possible so I don't have to be as particular about laying this down on the soap to make sure that the smooth sides in the soap, I can lay them down whichever way I want. So I'm just going to keep going, pounding that down. and I'm pretty happy with that. We might just add a bit of texture to that bit there that is also showing. Seal it back up, and that is my little towel. In fact, we might just, oh no, we'll leave the ends smooth because usually you have the bias binding on the ends of the towel, which is nice and even. So that is my little towel. So we'll grab this other piece and I'm going to do that again. So I'm just going to take that piece there. I am going to gently roll it up, but not too tightly because I want it to have some definition there. Then I'm going to grab that little tool again and just pounce all over the top to create that texture. So I got in a fragrance oil a little while ago and I really liked the smell of it, but I was struggling to come up with a design idea that would really complement the smell. And I suddenly got the inspiration for it a couple of weeks ago. Now, if you follow along with me on Instagram, you would have seen that a couple of weeks ago, about mid-June, was my mum's birthday. And it was a fairly big birthday. I won't reveal how old she was or has turned, but it was a big birthday and I figured that we would go and do something special during the week. So I booked us in to do a spa retreat with a spa treatment as well. And while having this spa treatment, I know you're meant to be nice and relaxed and all that sort of thing, which I will discuss in the making of the soap video, I suddenly came up with this this design for this soap, and now I'm finally getting to put it all together. So if you haven't already kind of got an idea, these are the little towels that you would normally have when you go and have your spa treatment. And this type of massage we had was a hot stone massage. So these are going to be the two embeds that go on the top of my soap. So I have a few more of these towels to go and make, so I'm going to go and do those, and then I'm going to go and prepare the oils for the soap that we're going to make on the weekend. So I hope you've enjoyed watching how I make the little embeds to go on top of the next soap. If you did, why not leave me a thumbs up and any comments down below. If you've got any questions, I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. And until the weekend soap, I hope you have a great one and I'll see you then. Bye.